Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Ian Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Worman, Esquire. On today's show, I think we're going to keep it pretty brief today. We'll talk a little bit about the Kansas City Royals and their sort of mediocre last week or so. And we'll be talking about the playoffs and the NBA and NHL, Mike. I'm surprised you didn't echo back playoffs there. Playoffs?
Yeah.
But,
Playoffs, the Jim Mora Classic playoffs,
right.
the
But
playoff squawk sort of.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it just slightly differently, like it's now it's here everyone hears it that way, I think, for like decades later, which is kind of funny. But yeah. Anything surprising you so far to the NBA or the NHL?
I no, because they've been surprising all the way through. So whatever happens, nothing surprises me at this point because it just seems sort of random. Um, I guess Oklahoma City is taking charge. They are the number one seed and are playing like it. They're up 3-1 against the Timberwolves. And then it looks like right now, anyway, it's going to be the Knicks down 3-1 to the Pacers if the game turns out the way it seems like. Although the last couple minutes of these games have sometimes really been topsy-turvy in the NBA, especially between the Knicks and Pacers. So the Knicks had a big comeback a couple nights ago. The Knicks also blew a big lead in the game one, so I guess you never know what's going to happen with that. But right now, it seems like there's only 20 something seconds left,
With a
and
10-point lead now. Yeah, I think
they are
it's
up by 10. So I think we can comfortably say the Pacers are going to win this one. So they'll be up
let's
3.
that's fairly definitive. That's pretty tough to come back from 21 point or 21 seconds to come back from a
Yeah.
10-point deficit.
Yeah, it's a four-score game, or at least Uh, you would need you would need three threes and at least one foul and one on of the 3-point attempts. So yeah, it seems pretty unlikely. Now they're up by 11. So yeah, I would say that the Pacers are going to win this game.
They need two 4-point plays and another three.
Yeah, you've heard it here first. The Pacers are going to win uh, game five, or I guess game four, and going to be up
Yeah.
3 heading into game five. So they're up 3-1. The Oklahoma City Thunder are up 3-1, and it looks like the NHL playoff bracket is also going to have two 3-1 series. As the Oilers looks like they scored an empty net goal.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
they're up
With a
3-1
minute to go.
with a minute to go in game four. The Panthers are already up 3-1.
Now
Um,
it's 4-1.
oh, 4-1, another empty net goal. Um, the Panthers are up 4-1. When do you stop putting the goalie back? When do you stop taking the goalie out when you're down in the playoffs? Do you just let them score as many goals as possible, or do you kind of want to just keep it respectable if you're down?
I think you probably just go ahead and leave the goalkeeper out, but I mean the goal is to not let the other team possess the puck at all, right?
Yeah.
So I mean
Yeah.
they've only
Give
got
it power
49
play
seconds to
type
try
of
to now they have
situation.
to get three goals instead of just one that they had
Yeah.
just a few moments ago.
Yeah.
But
It's only
yeah,
15
that's pretty tough.
left, so
Now it's down to 15. Yeah.
it's going down. So, well, as we speak, we have victors emerging. But yeah, so none of the series have been. I think the individual games have been compelling in a lot of cases, but the series themselves, at least unless something drastic happens, look like they will probably be, 5 game to 5 or 6 game series at the most. And that's okay. I guess you want to, I guess you want the better teams to win, but you also kind of I think you want I like 7 games when the when the when the comes down to the last game and all the marbles are on the table, if to mix metaphors. But yeah, so I don't know. It's none of these teams I think were the best other than Oklahoma City. None of the teams were the best teams in the regular season. So it kind of shows that the playoffs really are kind of a crapshoot. I think, had said that in some ways the NHL and NBA playoffs are less of a crapshoot maybe than some of the other leagues, like the NFL, where you only play one game, but maybe not. I don't know because hockey games are kind of random. They're similar to baseball games in a lot of ways, I think. So any team can win a 7 game series. Basketball games, I think, seem a little bit more definitive. Um,
And there's maybe not, it doesn't seem like there should be as much of a home field, home court advantage like as there would be in baseball where you actually get to hit last.
yeah, you
So
have
that
yeah, and
seems
one
like that should be a little bit more of an advantage for a home team.
yeah, and we also have like one lucky play here or there can really swing a baseball game or
Mm.
hockey because the scores are low. So like, something freaky that happens could, change the outcome. Whereas in basketball, the likelihood is much less because there's so many times that you score. So it's
Yeah.
even flow kind of momentum. Uh,
Single play, a single call.
yeah, maybe at the
It's
very end.
generally unlikely to fully affect the outcome of the game, right?
Yeah, not as much as baseball or hockey for sure, or soccer
Yeah.
especially. I think is the thing where one call can really go either way because there are so few scoring opportunities. Football,
Well,
somewhat,
especially when there is such a thing as a penalty kick too,
yeah, yeah. Well, a penalty that can be awarded, yeah, in a judgment kind of situation,
because
yeah,
that's basically just giving a goal to a team where,
yeah, 90% of the time, yeah,
right, where especially if it's a low scoring game, that may be easily the difference in a game where especially if it's a 1-0 game or 2-0 game, something like that, right? Where which is a pretty common score at soccer, so
yeah,
it's not
yeah. So any
not
time where
crazy.
the scores are lower, I think each individual scoring chance is much more important in the grand scheme of things. So, basketball has the most scoring, so that's therefore the least one play is least likely to determine the outcome of the game. Similar in football, I think, too. Usually one play. If you're complaining about one play, then I think your team probably should have been farther ahead or something like that, just to, keep that from happening, or at least be able to rebound from it. Again, if you're well, in the moment, you don't like that, but it's one of those things where the referee issues or fluky issues or things like that. So they should have um, less importance in terms of how they import on the game. But yeah, so nothing too exciting in either of the NHL or the NBA right now, but we'll see how it goes. But the games I've watched some of the games in the NBA. They've been entertaining games. Like I think the skill level is very high. The scoring has been high if you like scoring. So it's not like those mid to late '90s NBA matchups where the final scores were like 78 to 75 or something like that when like the Knicks
Not
and
seeing that.
Pacers played or something like that, where you have those or the Heat or the Pat Riley Knicks were really kind of mucking it up in the middle with Anthony Mason and Patrick Ewing and John Starks. That sort of era was probably I think the low point. That was also the era that Jordan dominated. So you wonder if in some ways, you wonder how great Michael Jordan was. Only he was good, and I think in a kind of a low point for the NBA when his teams won the titles. I don't think there was a lot of really pretty basketball going on, like the modern game. Um, but you could also say maybe they don't play defense now like they used to, like in the '80s and NBA or whatever. But I think the '80s NBA was also higher scoring and more entertaining with like the Magic Showtime Lakers. And
Yeah.
even Jordan's Bulls scored more points in that era. But yeah, as time went on, it was just, isolation plays, fadeaway jumpers, and that was about it that Jordan.
Right.
And his
Exactly.
oh yeah, like he was really great, but it was such boring. Like, he didn't have the athleticism he once did. He couldn't like just dunk it from anywhere on the court anymore. He just perfected that fadeaway jump shot, and that's basically
Right.
all it was most of the time. So it wasn't the most entertaining. People remember him as being like magical player or whatever, but he was. I don't have those memories of Jordan because I was never a huge fan of his. Um,
Yeah.
but I appreciated his excellence, but I was never somebody that thinks of him as, necessarily the greatest of all time just because he won six championships. But he also had Scottie Pippen on his team, who's one of the top players in the league. He had one of the top, Dennis Rodman, as well, great defensive rebounder. Um, so, and then the teams that he beat weren't like stacked. It wasn't like, it wasn't the same as, he did beat, they did beat the Pistons, they did beat the Lakers, but it was like the tail end of the Lakers dynasty. It wasn't like, with Kareem still there as kind of as a top level player and, peak Magic and,
Right.
um,
He didn't have to beat like the previous era's dominant player to take the title from them.
yeah. Well, they beat the Pistons, but the Pistons were that kind of bad boy kind of, there's just also that kind of mucking it up kind of team. And Larry Bird
Yeah.
was, on his last legs at that point. He had those back injuries, and so it was like the Karl Malone, John Stockton, Jazz, the old kind of Charles Barkley, um, Suns or Rockets. It wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of a down era, I think, for uh, the NBA in a lot of ways. But
And what Shaq wasn't quite there yet
yeah, Shaq wasn't quite
either.
up there yet. Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah, it was kind of its own era. It wasn't like they didn't like blend in across eras, the transfer of power from one era to the next era. It was like here's an era, there was a gap, and then there was another era, right?
Kind of. Yeah, it's sort of it's what it seemed like anyway. And
Not
then
like what we saw like in like men's tennis, where like we had maybe three of the greatest players like all at the same time, where they overlap by so much that they're sharing titles back and forth
yeah, and you had
over time.
yeah, you even had like pretty good players like Andy Murray and Andy Roddick and stuff like that who were probably multiple major winners in other eras, but they could barely, get anything done because of Nadal and Federer and then Djokovic towards the tail end of that couldn't get.
Yeah,
There was a big Nadal kind of celebration, I think, in at Roland Garros this past weekend, where I think Andy Murray and Federer and Djokovic were all there celebrating. Um, so it was uh, Nadal was honored in the uh, as the King of Clay was honored in a ceremony at Roland Garros on the first day of the French Open. So he won 14 French Opens. Um, and he got like a um, footprint on the court or something like that of his center court. But yeah, well,
the other thing that Jordan always had though was he also had a 3-point shooter that was pretty decent too, like Steve
yeah, it's
Kerr.
Kerr or yeah, there's some yeah, Jordan himself was never a great three-point shooter. Most of his shots were really what we would say in modern game would be inefficient shots because they were longish two-pointers, and you don't have that
Mid-range jump shot.
because it's not much harder to make a three and you get one more point for it and if you want to make a two you want to get close to the basket, so those mid range to beyond the free throw line kind of jump shots, if you make them all the time I guess it's good, but you could optimize your point scoring better if you shot more threes or something like but
Right.
yeah, it was kind of a boring period to watch, really. It was. And then yeah, it was, I don't know. There's a lot of people remembering things that in some ways weren't quite as, in people's memories, they're fallible. And sometimes we want to remember things as being more exciting or greater than they were at the time.
I mean, a lot of that's just nostalgia is about remembering how you felt in that moment. And yeah, it's hard to recapture sort of that feeling as you age. So you sort of tend to remember more fondly
Yeah.
an era when you didn't know that feeling before, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of remembering things more fondly, we're remembering the Royals' early season more fondly than we are this current uh, stretch of the season where they've lost a few games. They're now 7 games out of first place. They're out of the wild card uh, picture right now. They're only a half game out behind Houston for the third wild card spot. But they were playing better, but then they've lost 2 straight to Cincinnati. Neither game was particularly close. It seems like maybe they're really feeling the effects now of having both Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo on the injured list. They had a bullpen game today with Daniel Lynch starting, uh, pitched 2 1/3 innings, something like that.
2 2/3. Yeah, it was fine. He had 1 run. That's okay, but
Yeah. But
but
then you have the rest
it's
of the
not
bull.
necessarily his performance that's concerning. It's how much effort the rest of the bullpen had to put out to finish the game. Then
Yeah, and so you wonder if how much longer can the Royals sustain this this level of success without their best players. Also, Bobby Witt seems to have been kind of in a slump lately. He's down to 289 now, his batting average for him, which is good for most players, but I think for him it's pretty low. Um,
Mhm.
he went another game was 0 for 0 for today. So he's been probably in the last week or two, he's probably only hit around 200, I would guess. So he's been slumping a bit. So it seems like this is probably, I don't know, you hope this is the worst stretch that the Royals will have, and then they'll have another hot stretch coming up, and they can reemerge as contenders in the AL Central. It seems like the Tigers, though, are really taking it. They're up, I think they're 16 games over 500 right now. The Royals are only 2 games over 500, 29 and 27. Um,
I think the Royals have a series with Detroit coming up here pretty quick.
yeah.
So like that's one that they're going to need to hopefully get hot before that because they can't afford to go down. Can't afford to get swept. And it is the next series. They play one more game against Cincinnati tomorrow night, and then it's a 3 game series in Kansas City against Detroit
hmm Um,
before going to St. Louis then for the middle of next week to complete that rivalry second half.
yes. Yes. Well, maybe the biggest news in the last couple of days was the Royals demoting Cavan Biggio and promoting an outfielder from Omaha, not Jac Caglianone, however. John Rave was promoted. Do you think John Rave is the answer to the Royals' woeful outfield hitting production, or do we have to wait until Caglione can make it to the majors? If he is coming up this year, probably since they moved him to Omaha so early, I would say at least by August, September, he will be at the latest. I think he'll be up in Kansas City. Uh, Caglione had a great stretch a few games ago. Had 5 home runs in 4 games, 4 consecutive games with home runs. He had an 0 for 5 day today, however, but
Strikeouts, yeah.
still been tearing it up in AAA as well as in AA before that. So, um, do you think I guess A is the question is can Rave make a difference? He's not exactly a young prospect. I think he's 27 or 28. Uh,
Yeah, he's not one of the younger players. They've got I mean, it's been kind of a tendency with the Royals is to they have a lot of late bloomers in their organization.
yes. And Nick Lofton is back up as well when Hunter Renfroe got DFA'd. But yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think he was just optioned, but he had to approve the option. Oh, well,
Oh, okay.
Renfro was DFA'd, but Vigio was just optioned. Yeah,
Option.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Rave is 27. He'll be 28 at the end of December, so he's 27. So usually 27 is seen as the one of the peak years of a player. So you want them to be in the league a year or two before they hit 27. So you want to at least, I think 25 or under is kind of the goal, I think, to really have a really high level prospect. Um, start, and the younger the better. Usually, Bobby Witt was he 21 or something when he was called up, if that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but he'd moved through the minor league system very quickly, similar to like what Caglianone is doing right now.
yeah,
Because this is only his second year in the minor leagues and has already made it AAA and had success immediately at AAA.
yeah. Bobby Witt is 24. He'll be 25 on June 14th on Flag Day. So
It's coming up. It's only just a couple weeks away.
he was 22, his age 22 season. So he was 21 when I guess when he came up, and then turned 22 because this is according to Baseball Reference. This is his age 25 season. So
Yes. Yeah.
he's 24 still right now. So yeah, he's got so that in theory you would say that Witt is still ascending. He's yeah, he's struggled a little bit lately, but I think everybody has ups and downs. So
Well, he's past his prospect days since he's already been in the majors for 3 seasons.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, so he's definitely well on his way to being a solid veteran and perennial all-star is what it seems like anyway. Uh,
yes,
but yeah, is you think Rave is the long-term answer? I'm not sure if that's the situation, but I think he'd earned a look at the major league level by his performance the last couple seasons in the Royals minor league system. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think they probably wanted to give him a taste of the majors that could help delay Caglianone's ascension to the major leagues. They can at least like see if continues to hit at the kind of pace that he hit like in the first week of his AAA career.
yes,
If he continued that, into the next week, then he would be here, early June. But if he cools off, then they may try to delay it even, maybe late June at the latest. I don't know how this is going to go much longer, honestly. It seems like you may as well
Well,
just bring him up. At some point,
I
right?
guess I guess the question was I was reading. It seems like when he was playing most of his games so far, the pitchers have been pitching strikes to him, and he's been hitting the strikes. But once the pitchers start trying to pitch around him or not give him some good, good pitches to hit, will he continue? Will he be able to take walks? Will he be able to wait for a good pitch? That's going to be, he's going to have to maybe be a little more patient at the plate rather than just launch the first, fastball that he sees down the middle. So maybe there might be a little bit of a setback before he, like tonight, he was over five. Maybe that was because they pitched differently, um, pitched him
He, he
different.
did he did strike out 3 times, so that's
Yeah,
maybe that is an indication that they're trying to adjust to him.
yeah. So well, I think usually you probably have to wait for an adjustment, and then a readjustment to that adjustment, maybe to see if he's really um, ready for prime time. But I'm looking forward to uh, Jac Caglianone's inevitable Royals debut, and I think you would be surprised now if it wasn't sometime this season, wouldn't you? Since he's in AAA.
I think it's inevitable at this point, and if it goes much further into the summer, I'll be pretty surprised.
So would you give over under on July 1st? Over under
I think if you put it over under on July 1st, I'd be pretty heavily on the under right now. I don't know. How about how
before.
about
So
how about you? Would you think they're going to manage to keep him down past July 1st, Mike? Are you leaning that way right now?
I'd say I'm gonna go. I don't know. I think because I think the Royals aren't gonna make the best decision, so I think they'll keep him too long. I think they'll keep him. I think it'll be sometime in July. So I give it a. That's my guess. I don't know. I hope it's wrong. Um,
Yeah. Well, a
but
lot of it depends on how he forms over the next week,
yeah, how he plays.
adjusting to the adjustment to him, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
uh, but yeah, I mean, I mean, that's a lot of power to have. I think he leads the minor leagues in RBIs
Yeah,
at this point, which is not nothing to sneeze at there
no,
because that's yeah, across multiple leagues where there can always be somebody that's doing quite well. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean that's pretty impressive. I was
yes,
gonna look to see who did he face today. Was it a? I'm not familiar with any of the names on the AAA pitchers. So I am assuming that who they were facing, it was not like a rehabbing major
Yeah,
leaguer.
unless it's rehab player, you probably yeah. Maybe some of the prospects I might have heard their names before, just remembering from the draft or something like that. But
Right.
yeah,
They'd have to be pretty big for me to be aware of them from being from a different team.
hmm
Like I'm fairly aware of the Royals minor league system, but
yeah,
not so much aware of the opposing teams' minor league systems.
yes. So we have the we do have the major league draft coming up in July 13th, and the Royals have they don't have the really high picks this year because they played so well last year, but they have the number 23 pick and the number 28 pick, which they got as a prospect promotion incentive pick, thanks to Bobby Witt Jr.'s finishing in the top three of the MVP voting. Uh, so they got an extra pick from Bobby Witt's performance. So maybe they can find a diamond, not necessarily in the rough, but somebody in the late first round. It's hard usually because Caglianone was a can't miss prospect in the first. He dropped to was it seven or something like that, where the Royals got him six,
Mm,
and and Bobby Witt was like second overall, um, I think. So
yeah.
obviously he'd be first overall probably if they redrafted uh, that draft. I would guess. I don't know who was drafted first in that
Yeah, well, that was what, the 2021
one.
draft?
No, 2020 draft maybe.
2020 draft?
No, 2019 draft. Yeah, Adley Rutschman was drafted first.
Oh, well, I mean, he's a solid
He's been a solid.
all-star
Yeah,
catcher for Baltimore.
yeah, but I think you'd rather have Witt. He's not. Yeah,
So
um,
they're pretty similar overall WAR numbers. Yeah, Witt's a little bit higher, 17.2 career WAR. The Rutschman's 13.7.
yeah. Washington has been a good. He's been a good, good solid catcher. And I guess the
Yeah,
Orioles have a lot of other solid prospects, but they've been terrible this year. I don't know what's going on in Baltimore this
yeah,
year.
they've
Uh,
really struggled. Is
they've been worse than I think the White Sox have a better record right now than the Orioles, don't they?
that right? I
No,
didn't
it's
know they'd
close.
fallen that far.
It's close. It's the White Sox are two games behind. So the White Sox are 1738, and and the Orioles are 1935. The White Sox have also lost three straight games, so they were doing a little better before that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, they would have, yeah.
so it would have been pretty close before these last three that they lost. So um,
The Rockies have not recovered in the last week, though, have they?
no, they're 2-8 in their last. Although 2-8 in their last 10 is actually better than their season winning percentage. So
167.
167.
Yikes.
So yeah, not so good for the Rockies. The Pirates have been pretty bad too, so my bet is not looking so great on the Pirates over. But I'm doing bet. The Royals over is still in play. The Braves under is still in play. What was my? I can't remember my other one. Might have been Tigers. Was it? Do you have them anywhere? I hope it
I
wasn't
have
Tigers.
them, but it's not. I did not leave it in a convenient place, Mike.
I hope it's not Tigers under because that would be a terrible bet right now.
That
Um,
doesn't sound right. Here it is. You had uh the Royals over, Pittsburgh over, White Sox over,
White Sox over. That's not looking so
and
great.
Braves under. Yeah,
But White Sox could turn things around. So I'm probably 2-2 right now. Um,
yeah, man. Yeah, the Royals are getting close to theirs. I think
yeah, even with their
they've
poor,
narrowed the gap.
yeah, they're
So let's
under.
see. They're at 84 wins right now, so they're still over what they're projecting to right now. But
Okay,
yeah, yeah, I think I'm around 2-2 now. Also, Mike,
let's
'cause
do it.
I had Miami under, and I think they've fallen off in the last week.
Yeah, Miami's not doing so well.
They're at 65. No, they're still over.
Okay,
So that's not good for me right
they're
now.
5-5 in their last 10. So
Uh, and Houston's at 537 for 87 wins. And that puts them over. So I'm at 1-3 right now.
One
So
and three.
if it
Oh,
ended right now, but
yeah,
that's better than the 0-4 it was like a week ago.
yeah. You're trending up, trending up.
Which
Uh,
from historically from us looking at win totals for Major League Baseball, we have not done terribly well
no,
in our picks.
yeah, we should go the opposite. We should do the Costanza opposite of our
Yes,
we do a lot better.
probably should be our scheme. But yeah, have you gotten to see Rave at all yet? Have you seen anything from him yet, or have you been able to watch the last couple games?
I haven't been able to watch the last couple of games. I tuned in late to one, and I think Rave had was over two with a walk or something like that. Uh,
Yeah, so that was
today,
yesterday.
yeah, today I don't know if he played.
He
Uh,
did play. I think he was over again.
mm,
But I think, at least defensively, he's going to be better than, who they've been trotting out to right field
yeah.
recently. And hopefully it'll bring a little more stability to like who's playing where shuffles, which has
Hmm.
been, one of the things that drives me crazy. But uh today did feature the players involved in the trade between the Royals and Reds. So we saw
Yes.
former Royals pitcher Brady Singer on the mound against new Royals player,
I'm in
formerly
India.
from Cincinnati, Jonathan India, leading off. So
But yeah, India did have a RBI single against Singer, but Singer had a solid game. This was the kind of the Ellie De La Cruz show today. Like he had two
yeah,
long home runs. He seems like Cruz is a very hot and cold kind of player. He has um so he was hot today. He's only batting like 250 something. So that was with his two home runs today. So he's not uh been their best player, but he's I guess he plays a solid shortstop. I'm not exactly sure. Um, does I'm gonna look him up. See how many WAR he's worth.
but he is one of those guys that has tremendous power though when he
Yeah,
when he
when he
connects
connects.
well. And yeah, those two home runs that he hit today were
Yeah,
not just long home runs. I mean, they were bombs. Did you see those?
yeah. Del Cruz's OPS plus right now before tonight's game was 99, so he's only playing kind of average shortstop. He's worth one WAR so far, so his defense must be all right. Bobby Witt Jr. on the other hand right now is I think worth 2.6 WAR, so um, he's been better. But Del Cruz has I think maybe he's probably coming into his own. His slugging percentage was lower this year than it was last year, but not to two home runs. Maybe he's getting hot again, so
It's
that's
it's
something
still
to
early.
look out for. But yeah, still early. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But the Royals, even I think with their injuries, hopefully within the next week or so, we get Reagans and Lugo back. We mentioned before we went on the air as well, Kyle Wright, the former 20 game winner for the Atlanta Braves at the 2022, I believe the Royals have signed. He's making rehab starts again in Double A, so maybe he's on his way to recovery. So maybe the pitching shortage right now will be rectified. Um, uh, and the uh, Noah Cameron has been a revelation, as has Chris Bubich so far. Um,
Yeah,
so
Cameron's been fantastic filling in for Reagan's, and what he's three starts and he's only given up what 200 runs,
yeah, he's got .93 ERA, three starts. Um,
which is that's absurdly impressive to start your major league career like that.
yeah,
But it's unfortunate for the Royals that they don't have another starter at the
yeah,
AAA
they only
level
have four
that's
starters
ready to
right
come
now.
up.
Well, I think Daniel Lynch is a decent enough starter, but they needed to stretch him out. And maybe that was one of your criticisms of the Royals that they had not been trying to stretch out Lynch. as the long reliever. They just kind of used him as a interchangeable part reliever rather than trying to make him the long reliever. I guess they hadn't had a lot of long reliever situations this year because the pitching has been pretty good, but still,
Yeah,
um,
there should have been long relief situations, but they've always gone a different route, though. Like,
yeah, that's true.
yeah, because even again in the last like Waka or Lawrenson start where they could have been pulled earlier, we're not. And the guy that they go to when either of them needs to come out isn't Lynch like it should be because they're both right-handed pitchers that shouldn't be going deep into games. You'd think that they'd want to flip the lineup to the lefty as like an immediate backup situation, and they have never done it. They've never once even tried that situation, Mike. And it seems like that is the most obvious thing to go to is the longer relief pitcher. They don't do it.
I don't know why they don't promote you, Dr. Scaff, to manager of the Royals. I think they do just as well, but at least Cotrero, I don't know. He seems to have the players like him, I guess. Um, I think you probably think in some ways he's the second coming of Ned Yost. It seems like in a lot of ways. Supposedly he's more sabermetrically minded than Yost was, but we haven't really seen a lot of that. But especially not lead. I think Garcia should probably be leading off more since he's been playing so well, and he get
Right.
more for wit. Um, and then move India down. Maybe he's been India's been struggling a little bit. Maybe he'd be better down at number 5 or 6 in the lineup, just to change things up and maybe put a little less pressure on him. But yeah, so the Royals
There was a game just about a week ago, right, where they did lead off with Garcia and they scored 8 runs. You'd think that they would immediately go to that lineup right again to the next game, and it wasn't.
they did not know.
No.
No. I was reading Noah Cameron is from St. Joseph, Missouri. Did you know that?
Oh, so he's a local guy.
Yeah, who played at St. Joe Central, the same high school my dad graduated from, St. Joseph.
I didn't
Uh,
know that. I didn't know that he was from St. Joe.
well, grew up in he grew up in Kansas mostly, but he did live. His mom taught in St. Joseph when my dad
Oh,
was in high school, so my dad went to St. Joe Central for high school, and then he actually went for 2 years to Missouri Western before transferring to K-State to finish college. So that's where he ended up uh, going to school with my mom, uh, but yeah, so he lived in St. Joseph for a while. So we go up there sometimes to revisit his old haunts, I guess. Um,
glory days.
yeah, yeah, it's not too far up. You probably don't go to St. Joe very much because you go up 35 rather than up 29 when you go up north.
Right.
So you probably haven't been to St. Joseph too much.
Mm-mm.
You aren't on your way to Sioux City or uh, Council Bluffs or any of those Iowa cities on
I
the East.
have gone to Sioux City a few times, but
Not as often
uh,
as Ames
not very often though. Yeah, yeah. Ames was the destination many
and
hundreds of times. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is our journey complete today, or have we reached our destination of this probably warning track half hour, a little bit longer, perhaps? I think it's gone. There
Yeah.
has been a lot of news, mainly because we didn't have any football news today. We did debate before we went on the air discussing whether the tush push uh, should be banned. It was nearly so, but it was not quite. So it's going to be around another year. I think both of us have come out on the side of or anti tush push or brotherly shove, whatever you want to call that play, simply because it's an inelegant and just seems to like it should be illegal being able to push other people ahead when it's not legal for in other situations to pull runners or to for the
Right.
defense to push people down in field goal situations any longer, things like that. So um, But
Well,
if you like,
and it used to be illegal though, right? Like you
yeah,
couldn't do
yeah.
that before, and then they changed the rule for some unknown reason.
And then it took about 10 to 15 years to exploit the loophole, and the loophole hasn't been closed. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, because now it seems like, oh, the runner, let's just, or there's just a running back who's getting stopped and they just don't blow the play dead, but then they have like four or five other guys come behind him to push him forward, and now he gets a touchdown because, and they always act like it's the running back that's doing all the work. He's keeping his
right.
legs turning, and he's just there, and he's being kind of held up on both sides, and it's hard to do much of anything if you're being pushed that way. And so like sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
they are keeping going, but like half the time when they're praised for their hard work, it's just like, well, they have five. He's got five guys pushing behind him. That's why he's good. That's why he's
We have
not stopping.
five guys in front of him, and then at least three guys behind him, right? So it's like nine people pushing straight forward
Yeah,
against a lineup that's only like four or five people, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's not really how that's meant to work. This isn't rugby, right?
No. The
And it's
scrum.
not a QB sneak either, really, right? I mean, because a
No.
QB sneak is like supposed to be somewhat elegant anyway, right? Like
Oh,
they
you
know, like
dive
the
over the
offensive
right
line
spot.
knows
Yeah.
where the gap is supposed to be, and the quarterback has to like know where it is. And
Yeah, and Tom Brady was good at doing those without
yeah,
the pushing part. But I don't know. It's something that I don't care for. Hopefully, it doesn't come up much against the Chiefs. The Chiefs do play the Eagles in game two of the season, I think, at Arrowhead. So hopefully, they can get revenge for the Super Bowl loss that they uh, had this past season. But so yeah, not much Chiefs news, not much NFL news. So I guess
maybe one quick story that I heard this week that I just now just remembered. But since we're talking about rules that were changed and then possibly being changed back, there's a proposal, I guess, in baseball, low minor league system to test out a system for check swings, for reviews of check swings. So, the old rule used to be that if the bat head crossed the plate, that was considered a strike. The umpire at first base or third base, if asked, just had to know if the bat head crossed the plate. Then they changed it uh, to like a judgment call as to
more
whether or not he
holistic.
thought
Yeah.
the batter was trying to swing or not, which is
Mhm.
inelegant, I think, anyway, at best. The new rule is going to be about the angle of the bat. How if it passes a certain angle, it'll be like an overhead camera where they're actually going to like draw like a triangle, basically, very quickly with a computer aided graphic program AI system that will tell you like immediately by challenge if it was a check swing or not a check swing. Do you like that concept, or are we getting into the nitty gritty here?
Somewhat, I guess I do like that concept, but I think it's I don't know, it's a check swing. I think also each batter's swing is slightly different. I think just saying that a check swing for one person may not be a check swing for somebody else. And then bring like depends on how, I think angles of the bat, sometimes maybe when people make contact, it's not always the bat isn't always going forward, it can be going back. So it's you can because you can make contact with a bat with a check swing. So you can still get a strike on a check swing. So I think, yeah, I like the judgment call better probably, but I guess I do understand if they want to have a definitive, sort of bright line rule one way or the other. I guess players can adjust to that, but it's one of those things that I think will be probably used a lot and maybe will slow the game down, even though it's supposed to be instant. They still have to go to it. It's like challenge check swing, like how many times can the check swing get challenged in a game? And does that count as one of
I'm
your
sure they will limit it to some number,
does
but
that count as one of your your team challenges?
right.
And hopefully,
Because they in spring training they tested the sort of robo calls, like being able to challenge balls and strikes, and there were a limited number of challenges per game, and some teams like used them like very quickly because the batter could ask for them,
uh
and some I think in some games in spring training they were used like in the first inning. Even.
yeah,
But
Yes.
it's kind of fun, I think, in tennis, if we're gonna make another tennis comparison, to
Watching
what's
Hawkeye.
the yeah, Hawkeye, the system there, yes, that which I think is kind of fun to watch that actually when they
Mhm.
do it because it's just it gives the crowd something to like get excited about to see like what the result is. You see the sort of animation of where it goes and they like have to flip it up and then they show you like exactly where the ball hit,
Yeah.
line, no line,
Yeah.
inside, outside. But
I
they can
think,
do the same thing sort of with baseball.
yeah, that could, I guess.
And they actually had a similar
But in baseball,
system
I think
in
you need,
Australian rules football too. If you ever watched any of that for
okay,
like a Hawkeye type
base,
system for like
yeah.
a goal no goal.
I think baseball though needs more of a 3D system because the strike zone is the plate, and just because something is not
Right.
uh, in the catcher's glove in the strike zone doesn't mean it wasn't going through the 3D plate
Right.
shape of the prism of the strike zone. While at some point, because it could curve through the front and then go out or something like that. So
One, it has to be relatively dynamic too, because each player has a different height.
yeah,
And so because it is the height of the strike zone is based on the
yeah,
player themselves, not just a set
yeah,
like yard marker or something, right?
grid, yeah, yeah. So it would be more difficult, but it could be interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
But
well,
we see on the TV product that I mean that's what ends up being somewhat infuriating for fans watching is because we see the box for every single pitch. So we know what is a ball and a strike immediately.
at least
And
theoretically, we don't see the 3D version, so
right.
we only see the 2D.
But that's what the fan sees that and
So
they
you know
assume
what we
that they
know.
know the result of it, right? Being it's either a ball or a
Or
strike.
strike.
And you
Yeah,
know what it is before the umpire has a chance to even,
yeah,
signal or,
that's true.
not, right?
Yeah, I like having the box. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but we'll see how those if those minor league uh, pilot programs end up coming to Major League Baseball. Something I'd like to see gone is the bequeathed runner in the extra innings. Although it does make some at times extra inning games pretty exciting, but I think I would rather just have him play a regular game until the
Yeah. Well, and like the original reasoning for why they did that, it was like they're trying to shorten the average game by trying to eliminate the very, very long game.
yeah.
So there's usually like one game that goes like 18 innings. But if you can cut that one out, then somehow that's supposed to be enough of a change to the average time. But it isn't. Like
And wasn't
statistically,
it
that
a,
does not matter.
and wasn't it a COVID situation too? They wanted to get the game done earlier so that people would get have less
I mean, it
exposure.
was really just about the pace of play that they made like multiple changes at once. And
I think the pitch clock
that
has really
was
changed the pace of play, and I think it's gone the
yeah.
way they want it. So um, it seems like the games are going faster than they used to. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
mean just trying to keep it like under 3 hours is probably ideal.
yeah,
But there are some games that go very, very quickly and others that still drag out depending on how many pitching changes there are, because it just adds commercial breaks, and that's really where the time gets added to the games.
yeah, yeah. We don't have any commercial breaks here at the One Track Power Hour, so we get it's all action all the time here at the One Trick Power Hour, but I think even the we have to call it quits at some point today, and I believe we've run out of new things to talk about. Yeah, the up is calling the we're calling for the reliever or um this he's calling time blue. Do umpires even wear blue anymore? Is it are
Not really. It's
they
usually
wear
gray or black at
gray
the
and
end.
black? Yeah, they still call them blue.
Sometimes, yeah. Especially with like the more old school announcers will still refer
Yeah.
to them as blue. Rex
When
Hudler, I think, will refer to
when
them as
did the
blue.
umpires stop wearing blue? Do you know? Was that when the um
Yeah, was that a collective decision made by like the umpires union to try to shed the color blue from their
okay, let's see. Here we go. In umpires gradually stopped wearing blue uniforms American League began to deviate from blue in 1968, wearing gray trousers with the blue coats. In 1973, the AL switched to maroon blazer with blue pants. AL's use of blue pants with maroon blazer continued until 1979. Uh, the National League retained the solid blue suits. Wearing of ties was phased out in 1979. Um,
Yeah, I don't really remember blazer. I think it's a funny name for what you think of anyways. They were actually like coats, I guess, huh?
yeah, like Enrico Palazzo had a blue blazer.
This the suit coat blazer type. Yeah.
That's black polo shirts and gray slacks, basically. Then light blue was replaced by gray shirt blue. Mostly long sleeve versions, or mostly it's black, I think.
Yeah.
Still available, though less commonly seen as a plate coat, a modern version of the traditional blazer, also in black, typically only worn when serving as home plate umpire, where the large lower pockets are used for storing extra baseballs. Um, so right around the year 2000, umpires stopped wearing a lot of blue. Um, it seems to be more gray and black now. It's
Yeah. They don't wear the big pad anymore, like the big shield that they like used to
yeah,
hide behind.
yeah. They have it's more of a like a bulletproof vest kind of look, Kevlar type of
Kevlar, yeah.
thing under the shirt.
No.
Yeah. Well, um,
They don't want to look too bulky back there. That's
you want to be
bad
a
look.
thin figure behind the
You're on
plate.
TV a lot back there, so you gotta look your best.
You want to look your best, just like we here at the One Trick Power want to look our best, and we do every week, of course, for our viewers. But we also want to look our best, even for our listeners, who I'm sure can hear that we're dressed stylishly from the confidence in our voices. Um, so uh, as always. Uh, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the One Trick Power Hour. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can watch us, and or our podcast, where you can listen to us. I guess you can also listen to us on the YouTube channel. You don't have to pay attention to us on the screen, but you can still listen to us. So that's what I do oftentimes when I'm in the car. I'll listen to the YouTube broadcast. Uh, um,
Then do you watch the YouTube later without the audio just so
No,
that you've
just
caught
to
up?
get the whole picture. No, I don't usually watch it because I know what we look like. Um, but
But viewers or listeners could do it that way if
they
they
could
want.
do it that way. They could do it. They could turn the sound. They could turn the sound. It's like we're watching a baseball game. Turn the sound down on the um, broadcast, on the video TV broadcast, and then listen to the radio announcers. It's never synced up right, so I don't. Yeah.
Ours will be though, because it's generated from the same file,
If
so
I listen to,
it
yeah.
should they would the viewer would have to personally sync the two
We'd have to
files
personally
together.
speak. And I usually, if I listen to it on the podcast, I'm usually at 1.25 speed, so I'm a little bit fast.
Oh,
Uh, but if I would on YouTube, I usually do it at 1.0 speed. So uh, if
are you
I
disappointed that when you do the 1.25 speed that it doesn't pitch up the voices though, so you don't have like a
chipmunk sound
squirrely like
voices, yeah, I like it. It's still pretty similar at 1.25. 1.5, it goes a little too fast sometimes. I think we talk sometimes more quickly than others do, but. Yeah, I don't know. I like the 1.25 is what I usually on my podcasts listening.
it just depends on how animated we get with our
Yeah.
discussions then.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes. Well, this is another animated maybe we'll have an animated version of the One Trick Power Hour with caricatures of us doing uh, the broadcast. But that's for the distant future, I think, when we have the cartoon series of the Warren Trek Power Hour. We'll keep it live action from now until the foreseeable future. And we will also just wanted to mention that if you're making bets this weekend, we wish you luck on your bets. As long as your interests do not conflict with ours, and you're sitting pretty this week because we don't really have any interests going on. Unless maybe you would bet against the Royals multiple times, we would dislike that. We would hope you would lose on those bets because we do like the Royals. We are. not claiming to be dispassionate observers here. We are partisan Royals fans, even if we do say bad things about the Royals fairly often on this broadcast. Um, but that's just because we care and
Want to see them improve and
want to see
succeed.
them improve. Just like your third grade, your ninth grade algebra teacher gave you a hard time because they wanted to see you improve. Um, your work. So that's what we are. We're the stern but encouraging high school teachers of the podcast world, I guess. And we've really gone off the rails here. I won't relitigate our sign off, but I will say thank you for watching and or listening from all of us at the Warren Trek Power Hour. We hope to see you next week. We'll have another exciting episode talking about the baseball play about the baseball regular season going further. We're getting closer to the baseball draft in July. That's about month and a half away. We'll have a continued discussion about the NHL and the NBA playoffs. Hopefully, we'll have some Chiefs news to regale you with, and anything else we find interesting or exciting or humorous, we'll also pass along to you as well. So until next time, we wish you a good day.